Howdy, and welcome to Mo's World, the baseball podcast. Yep, another baseball podcast where here we talk about baseball like a few friends sitting at the bar. Awesome. We're excited to bring you our latest episode. If you enjoy the podcast, spread the word to your friends. In Season 2, Episode 39, we are going to recap the championship games and the status of the World Series. Now, looking back at this season, I do continue to think that we've had some shitty pitching coming out of the bullpens all year. Now, you guys know that I've been harping on this all year, and we'll get more involved in that in our next podcast as we will reveal the stats and disappointing team leaders in the year of the imploding bullpens. Today, though, let's talk a little bit about how that topic has impacted the postseason. So we had the Dodgers over the Brewers. Now, I think most people agree that that was going to be the outcome. But I think we saw the igniting of perhaps a new star. The Brewers may have lost the division series to the Dodgers 4-0, but Jackson Chourio, in his first career postseason, well, he stood out. You know, he hit .389 in 5 games against the Dodgers pitching, which was pretty damn good, with 1 home run, a team-leading 6 RBIs, a .421 on-base percentage, .667 slugging, not bad. And William Contreras did his usual hitting 300. Now, there wasn't much productive there. And, you know, Contreras and Andrew Vaughn, they were responsible for driving in 13 of the 22 runs the Brewers scored. And you can't win in the postseason relying on your stars. You need the 6 through 9 guys to come through. Basically, though, I think the Brewers made poor pitching decisions and just did not hit like they did in the regular season. Typical, right? In the 9 games the Brewers played, they scored 26 runs. They averaged 2.88 runs per game. Now, that kind of hitting will put a lot of stress on the pitching staff. The Dodgers? Wow. They woke up and got healthy in September. They were the classic sleeping bear that woke up. Period. Now, I think, well, looking at the Dodgers, they scored 46 runs in 10 games in the playoffs early. They were averaging about 4.6 runs per game. Yeah, not great, but very good considering how dominant their starting pitching was. And this is what determined that series. Healthy and rested starters, and they produced a 7-1 record in 10 games, a 1.40 ERA, and 64 innings, giving up only 29 hits. And they got 6.41 innings per start by the Dodgers. The next closest team to that was still in the playoffs were the Blue Jays. Check that out. So the Dodgers starters averaged 6.41 innings, and the Blue Jay starters were at 4.64. The Mariners were third with 4.34. But the Brewers starters averaged 2.44 innings. They weren't going to get the job done doing that. I don't care how good their bullpen was during the season. It was not going to work. So it's pretty obvious why the Dodgers won. Back a few months, I thought the Dodgers were done as well. But they have impressed me in what a team truly needs to do of their caliber. Get healthy and get ready for the postseason. Mission accomplished, and now they start, right? So the Blue Jays over the Mariners, the 2023 Texas Rangers, the 2023 Arizona Diamondbacks, the 2020 Tampa Bay Rays, and the 2020 Los Angeles Dodgers were the last teams to play a 7-game series in the league championship. So this year was the perfect matchup between the Blue Jays and the Mariners. You know, back in 2016, baseball fans had to decide if the Cubs or Indians deserved our pity for going the longest without a World Series title, as that World Series saw the Indians, who last won the World Series in 1948, 68 friggin' years, and they opposed the Cubs, who last won a World Series in 1908, 108 years. Holy shit. Now that was a matchup, right? But this year we have the Mariners, who've never been to a World Series. 48 years and diddly squat. And this will be the Blue Jays' third appearance in the World Series, as they won back-to-back in 92 and 93 and are in their 48th year of existence. Now, you guys, I hate beating a dead horse, but we've said it all year on the podcast. I just don't get the Mariners. One of the most disappointing and inconsistent teams in existence. And I seem to think that their managers are all knuckleheads when it comes to making key decisions. And this postseason confirmed that. I wanted the Mariners to get to the World Series, but the combination of no hitting did them in. Now, Cal Raleigh led the division series by continuing his MVP season as he led the team with a .381 average, team leading 4 RBIs, 8 hits. He had a hell of a year. But Randy Arozarena, Julio Rodriguez, Eugenio Suarez, and Jorge Polanco, and they didn't show up at all. Now, they produced 49 runs of offense, was actually second in the postseason behind the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, though? Damn. 71 scored in the postseason up until the World Series. 6.45 runs per game, hitting .296 as a team. Vladimir MVP Guerrero over the playoffs, he's continuing to hit over 400. Ernie Clement, Nathan Lukes, Addison Barger. Who are these guys? Exactly. In the playoffs, you need a team that hits. Vlad was not a one-man show like, unfortunately, Cal Raleigh was for the Mariners. Bullpens both sucked, as the Mariners had a .415 ERA in the postseason, but had to throw a Major League Baseball leading total of 60 innings of relief. Now, the Blue Jays were at .552 ERA, only better than the crap bullpen of the Yankees, as they ran up a bullpen ERA of .615 in New York. Now, Yankee fans wonder who or what to replace. Let's start with the shit bullpen first. Now, I thought both teams made some iffy choices by the managers, so both managers did not impress me in, the Blue Jays or the Mariners. But here we go. Dodgers versus the Blue Jays. This is our match for 2025. What do you think? Back in March, would you have picked the Blue Jays to pass the Red Sox, the Rays, the Orioles, and Yankees to take the division? I didn't see it coming. Now, did you see the Dodgers winning? Yeah, you're right. Most people anointed the Dodgers the National League champs on February 13th, expecting 116 plus wins. But that's why we play the season. Paper teams do not play out. The Dodgers struggled all year with shitty starting pitching and an inconsistent bullpen. Have you heard that before? As I want it to happen has happened for the Dodgers. Dave Roberts recognized in September, after his starters were finally getting healthy, that my bullpen sucks. I gotta ride the starters. Yes! Finally! A manager with a fucking brain! The Dodgers went into the World Series with their bullpen, throwing a postseason low of only 27 innings. In 9 games prior to the World Series, the Dodgers averaged only 3 innings from their bullpen. This is what they needed to continue to the World Series. The Blue Jays? 45.2 innings have been thrown by their bullpen, averaging about 4 innings. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but the Blue Jays' postseason ERA of their relievers is .552. The Dodgers' ERA in their bullpen, even though they've thrown 27 innings, is .488. So, both teams have shitty bullpens. The outcome? Whoever has the best starting pitching will win the series. Unless, and here's what's happened in the past couple games, unless the Dodgers' dominant hitting prevails. So, how close was I? Game 1, Dodgers at Blue Jays. Wow, 11-4 Blue Jays blowout. You know, that was a close game until the Blue Jays blew the game open in the bottom of the 6th, scoring 9 runs. And they proved one thing to the Dodgers. Their offense is for real, and we will not back down. Blake Snell gave up 5 runs and lasted only 5 innings. Game 2? Holy shit, Yamamoto, unreal in pitching his second complete game in the postseason. He stifled the Jays in an easy victory, and the series was tied at 1-1. Now, Game 3, Blue Jays at Dodgerland. Holy shit, 6-5 Dodger win in 18 innings. Wow, this game will definitely go down as one of the best World Series games ever. 18 innings. Holy shit, I was really starting to think both teams were going to run out of pitches. The only thing I was thinking was the All-Star game when Joe Torre ran out of pitches and they said, tie? and Shohei Ohtani, he produced one of the most amazing lines in a World Series box score. He reached base 9 times, 4 for 4, 3 runs scored, 3 RBIs, 5 walks, 2 doubles, 2 home runs. Holy shit. And then, of course, Freddie Freeman did it again with a walk-off home run to win the game after 6 hours and 39 minutes. This game really had everything. 6 runners were thrown out on the bases, killing the rallies. Awesome game. Game 4, you had to wonder, with the game that Ohtani had, did he have anything left in the tank? After 18 innings the night before, you had to think that. But, of course, it was a low-scoring game. 2-1, the Blue Jays led after 5 innings. But it became a blowout in the top of the 7th as the Jays scored 4 runs against Ohtani to put the game out of reach. Ohtani went 6 innings. He did a good job. But the major blow was Vladimir Guerrero's 2-run home run. He's hit all postseason. So I got to wonder, why did they even pitch to him in that situation? Unfortunately, we had to go into post-production for the podcast for Game 5, which was Wednesday. Game 6 is going to be Friday, October 31st. And Game 7 potentially could be Saturday, November 1st. So the only thing I got to say is, will this be the Blue Jays' 3rd World Series win or the Dodgers' 9th World Series win? Unfortunately, we're unable to recap the final games of this series. But there's one thing that's been pretty competitive. It's a good competitive World Series. And we talked about the bullpen's shitty reputation, but the hitters are hitting. And it's funny, what are the top 2 teams in the postseason hitting? The Toronto Blue Jays, they lead with 25 home runs, and they're not a home run hitting team. That's the amazing thing. The Dodgers are second with 20 home runs. The Blue Jays are hitting 285 as a team. That's unheard of. Both the Blue Jays and Dodgers have the best hitting teams of all the postseason teams, and they compare very closely. So let's see how the final games do pan out. I definitely see a 7-game series now. Yep, I didn't see it coming. 7-game series. By the way, do you agree with the World Series format? There's been talk about changing alliances in the league and doing away with divisions. But what about the World Series format? 2 games at the team with the best record during the regular season, the 3 games at home of the other team. then back to the home team with the best record in baseball? Is that fair, or is that an advantage? How about this? Games 1, 2, 3, and 4 played in consecutive days at the team with the best regular season record. Then 1 day off for travel, and games 5 and 6 at the home team of the other regular season winner. 1 day off for travel. Then game 7 goes back to the home team with the best regular season record. This would give the team that prevailed the entire season and led all teams with victories with a decided advantage to possibly clinch the World Series all at home. A possible 5 out of 7 games played at home. Is that incentive? It's not fair? I kind of like it. I'd really like to know what you think. Leave a comment about that and let me know. Well, I think this is a wrap for today. Once again, sorry to leave you hanging on the outcome, but thanks for joining us for Season 2, Episode 39 of Mo's World, the baseball podcast. We are now in our off-season schedule of new episodes every other Friday. Each episode lasts approximately 20 minutes. We appreciate your support and encourage you to share the podcast with your friends. Our next episode will be released in 2 weeks on Friday, November 14th. We look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, ask yourself, whose world is it? It's Mo's World.